All right, what is happening, people? Welcome to the video. This is going to be a little car chat, a little update of where things are at. I'm just finishing up work for the day, heading home. Going to be baby dad. Going to be dad. So we are coming up on 2 weeks out. Today is Thursday, so Saturday will be 2 weeks out from showtime. Coming quick. The last couple weeks have been very fast. Seems like every day just kind of goes. And partly because I am extremely busy between, obviously, my day job. But with coaching has been crazy busy the last little bit. Influx of new clients getting ready for the stage. Just lots going on, which is good because when you are busy on prep, it kind of distracts you from, any of the potential prep effects you might be feeling. Don't get me wrong, like it doesn't cloud everything, but if you're busy and you're afforded an opportunity to not constantly focus on food or focus on if you're tired or whatever, it does make it somewhat easier. So I know it's hard sometimes, but if you can stay busy on prep, I encourage you to do so. So where I'm at now, Cliff and I have pretty much come to the conclusion that I'm done driving off body fat to the degree that we have been. We opted to bring carbs up a little bit this week, just because we noticed, I was digging down, and, I wasn't really seeing much more detail come through the lower body, and my upper body was starting to kind of flatten out a bit more than we wanted it to, and that's kind of the tail end of prep is really navigating that push and pull, that left and right, bob and weave of getting your body to where it needs to be, but without, sacrificing certain things along the way, right? Like when we think of bodybuilding and the criteria in which you're judged on, there's a couple things, right? You have conditioning, how lean you are, how low body fat do you have, muscularity, how much muscle is on your frame, proportion, symmetry, front to back, top to bottom, left to right. Like all these things need to be considered. And if you get hyper fixated on one metric, let's use conditioning for example, because there was a period of time where I was really like, I want to get leaner. But if you push conditioning to a degree where you start to lose your shape and lose your pop and lose, muscle, right? Like that's a real thing that can happen, is if you start pushing conditioning too hard, you just start losing muscle, which at the end of the day, this is still bodybuilding, and muscle loss is the last thing we want. So, we're at a point now where it's like, okay, if, let's say my conditioning is a 9 out of 10, right? And 10 out of 10 is like, that Dirk level conditioning, that world champion level conditioning, which like some people just can't get to. There's just certain things, this is a conversation I've had with Cliff before, like there's some individuals that just have like less body fat cells on their body or smaller body fat cells, and they can just get that extra level of crispness that some people just can't get. And I'm probably in that happy medium where it's like, okay, conditioning is good, like glutes are in, quads are in, upper body's dialed in, like I'm in a spot where I would never look out of place on stage from a conditioning standpoint, but beside maybe someone like Dirk or someone who can get that extreme, there would be a bit of a difference, like, percentages, right? So we were like, you know what, we're in a spot now where we can probably start to bring food up a little bit just so we don't lose that pop and that fullness and that, to the degree we can, right? Like we're not actively trying to see the scale go up the other way, but we're not actively trying to drive it down. either. So right now we're just kind of hovering. We're like marinating right now. My body's in the slow cooker, and I'm now. So today's Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we ran just a slightly higher carb intake, not refeed numbers, not high day numbers, nothing like that. But carbs are up a little bit, and scale has held around the early 154s. Right. I've touched into the 153s, and Monday I saw 153 flat. But considering how the scale has trended the last week and the week prior to that, I think that 153 flat was an outlier, coming off of legs, coming off of being out in the heat on Sunday a good bit. I think I might have been just, a little bit dehydrated, maybe just had a little fluid shift there, because it didn't stay. And I've come into the 154s again, and now I've held that. So I suspect we will be kind of floating around this spot until peak week, where we will do a depletion again. And, I'm holding pretty much where I ended depletion off going into the WMBF show. I would be entering depletion for this final show. So, if we get a similar effect, the likelihood of me seeing maybe a 151, 152 ahead of loading up for the stage, but that'll be Cliff's call to make as we get there. So today I did check in with him, and he said that things are looking good. He's happy, so we're just going to continue with what we're doing. So the carbs get to stay a little bit higher, which is nice. Like I said, it's not like it's refeed numbers, but it's still extra fuel, extra food nonetheless, which is always welcomed. We'll run the refeed on Saturday like normal. Training continues like normal, and then we'll check in Monday like we always do, and then sounds like that'll be sorting out the plan of action leading into the show. With regards to the show, I am doing bodybuilding and classic physique. With bodybuilding, we are gonna make sure I do get into the lightweight class, which is 154.25 pounds is the cutoff. So I will be close to that. Considering what I weigh right now, like I'm pretty much that, if not slightly above that right now. So there will need to be a bit of manipulation on our end, but thankfully weigh-ins are at 2 p.m. You can get in there at 2 p.m. as opposed to waiting until later in the day. Because it's such a big show, they've got a bigger window of registration. So plan will be to get into that weight class as soon as possible at registration. That way we can start carb loading after the fact. He's got a couple of tricks up his sleeve as far as how we might go through peak week to ensure we can do it. But regardless, we'll make sure we make that weight class, and then after that, game on. Classic physique, there's no issue with me making a weight. It's by height and weight, but I'm well under what my weight cap would be. So yeah, we're 2 weeks out this weekend. I'm excited. I feel excited for the stage. Don't get me wrong. I'm very excited for the stage. I'm excited for getting up there, having Cliff there is going to be amazing. Getting up there in front of my friends and family and clients and supporters and the whole 9 yards. But I am very, very ready for prep to be over. It's been a long one. It's been a hard one for sure. But I think for me, I'm just ready to feel normal again. I spend most days just kind of running through the day on what energy I do have, being as mentally present as I can, but I know I'm not fully me, right? I'm not fully me how I want to be as a husband, as a father, and all the things, right? So very much ready to return to that state of being after the competition and just enter that next next chapter with my family, and get into the off season, get back to eating, get back to training hard. Training right now is kind of like a get in, do what you can, get out. It's not that training's like unenjoyable, because it's still like a fun part of the day, but it's just like you just don't have that like oomph in the gym anymore. So I do miss that feeling, and it's funny how you can love the gym and be someone who's such an avid gym goer and loves training and loves pushing themselves and progressing, but you get to those like dog end stages of prep, and even the gym is just like, no amount of caffeine or hype music's gonna get me all buzzed up for this right now. You just get in there and you push yourself as best you can and make the most of the session and continue on with the day. So yeah, real talk, guys, real talk. It's not always what you see from people online is often not a full representation of the truth, and that's something that I've gotten a lot of what's the word, not praise, but like my honesty and transparency throughout this process has been welcomed by a lot of people, because I think people get misconstrued with like what prep is and what it looks like and what it should be, and it's not this lovely, beautiful thing all the time. It's very challenging. It will push you, it will test you, it will try to break you, and you just got to be ready for it, and you got to understand what comes with it, right? For every high and exciting time, there's lows and frustration and anger and all the feelings that can come with it, and I've had those throughout this process. So yeah, like I said, I'm ready to be on stage. I know I'll be my best, and on the flip side, I'm ready to walk off stage and return to being my best in avenues outside of bodybuilding and outside of prep. So anyways, about to roll into home, and like I said, be dad, be husband, spend time with my family. The highlight of the day for sure. So little prep update, guys. Like I said, we're coming up 2 weeks out this weekend. Appreciate the support as always, and we'll see you guys in the next one.